Recording started and do a share screen. So y'all should have the materials in your inbox. And we are going to start with the expired boot camp, and then we'll talk about for sale by owners. The concept with these classes is really different. It's not something that is taught in most for sale by owner classes and expired classes. And so one of the things I wanted to share this morning is I just pulled up the MLS data, and there was almost 1,900 homes that have expired in the last 183 days. And to me, that's pretty shocking considering that we have such a low inventory, right? And we have people are clamoring to find homes. And so I think that that's an important number to have, and to be aware of that. And not all, I just did a quick MLS search, right? It's not necessarily winnowing down if you work in, Glendale, Peoria, whatever, right? So you guys could go in, but there's, to me, that number is still significant because that's a lot of opportunities that are out there that are people that their homes failed to sell and most of the time they still want to sell, right? They still have a need to sell. And so I think, having a plan, right? And you got to have thick skin when you work expireds because, they're upset. Right? I agree, Max. That is hard to rationalize. How is that possible, right? And, partly because price and in a hot market, sellers are willing to, top out the price of their home. And, and then of course, conditions always an issue that causes homes not to sell. But, and as agents, we have to remain strong, right? And how many of those houses went under contract and then had a low appraisal, and that's what caused them to, come off the market. And so, I definitely think it's an opportunity that we have that, when we look at that 1,900 homes, I mean, even if it windowed down to just 10 opportunities that were legit opportunities, it's still 10 opportunities we didn't have. All right, I need to get my materials here. I was so focused on getting you guys the materials, I forgot to get my own. So the purpose of today's class is, and this is pretty much with any momentum class, right, is we want to teach you guys a more proactive approach, right, to being more effective and entering into relationships with expired listings. And as I said, we got to have some thick skin because their home just sat on the market for 6 months. They're not very happy, right? I wouldn't be very happy if what someone promised me didn't happen. And, your house sits on the market for 6 days and people are freaking out about why didn't it sell? And so now my house has been on the market for 6 months. It failed to sell. The agent probably has disappeared because that's what happens, right? Is we stopped communicating with them because, maybe they won't reduce their price or whatever, right? Whatever the scenario is. And so, they're not happy and they're not happy with agents. And so we got to have thick skin. Now, another idea that you guys can do is if maybe you don't go after the expireds that expired today, maybe you go after the expireds that expired a year ago or 2 years ago or even back 5 years ago. And so those guys aren't going to be as angry, right? And maybe they failed to sell because they didn't have enough equity 5 years ago. And so now they're in a better position. So I would definitely expand your thoughts on where to find expired inventory and go back up to 5 years ago. I coached a guy in he was in Wisconsin, and he actually would do that. He would go back 3 to 5 years, and he was killing it with expireds. He just was doing a great job and was getting the appointment and getting the listings. And so it's definitely a viable source, and they're not as angry, right? So I love that. All right, so the next thing here is teaching you guys the expectation, right? And it's really about anything that we do as real estate agents. It's about confidence, right? I mean, Jessica, you're brand new, right? And so I'm sure that your confidence level is, you're excited, but you lack the confidence, right? And then here I am saying, go after an expired listing. You're probably like, oh my God, why would I do that? Right? I don't know what to do. And Tommy, you're brand new, right? And so, we think about that and it can be a little intimidating. And so having a plan, right? And then feeling confident to be consistent. And that's really what it boils down to, is consistency. And that's pretty much in anything we do in real estate, right? Is consistency. And, that leads to mastery and, practicing your scripts, having the scripts, having a plan. So those are all things that lead to, having a productive real estate business. And then of course the result is that we increase your revenue. And right now we need inventory, right? That's what we need. And so having a plan, obviously focusing on sellers, and then all the different things that we need: yard sign, home ads, internet, just listed postcards, or just listed campaigns, and of course then having a strong CRM. Those of you that are Remax agents, you have the Booge CRM, which is a work in progress, right? They are making updates and changes to it, but it is a service that you have that you don't have additional costs for, and it is a very robust CRM. If obviously Max, I don't know what company you're with, but definitely look into having a CRM. Don't be that agent who has their contacts in Google and on MLS and in a spreadsheet or maybe a notebook. I coached a lady one time. She'd been in the business 35 years, and she said to me that her CRM was a floppy disk and a notebook. And I bet Jessica's probably never even seen a floppy disk, right? And so don't do that, right? That your database is the most important thing that you have in real estate. All right, so let's see. Let's move on in our slides here. All right, so one of the things you'll see in all the momentum classes is the financial consequences. And basically what this is a chart to show you, if you're a phase one, which, again, Max, I don't know how long you've been in the industry, but most of us are in a phase one, meaning that we're a solo agent. We don't have a team, and maybe we have an assistant and the transaction coordinator, right? But so for discussion for today is being consistent in phase one. So assuming you're going to work 45 weeks, some of you might work longer than that. And right now with the pandemic, I don't know about you, but I don't want to travel anywhere. And so if we consistently did 50 dials per week, that's a total of 2250 for the year. And if you only had a 15% response rate, which is pretty conservative, that would give you 338 talks and resulting in 7.5 sets, which are your appointments, right? And then if you had a cancellation rate of 30%, that would give you an additional 18. And then if you were at 50% conversion rate, which most people, when they start tracking this and they're being very intentional with their tracking, most agents are averaging about 65%. And so I think, you want to track your own response rates because maybe you're really a bulldog and yours is higher. If you tell me that your conversion rates are 100%, then I'm going to tell you you're not going on enough appointments because you're not getting in front of enough people if you're at 100%. And so the best of the best are at 65 as kind of a national average. And there are some agents who want to push that number down. And the reason being, that might sound silly, right? Might sound counterintuitive of like, well, why would I want my conversion rates to go down? It's because you're getting in front of more and more people, right? And so let's do the math here. So that would result in 9 more listings, and we've got an average sales price of, let's just say 300,000. So at a 3% paycheck, that's 9 listings. And again, if in our market, 25% of homes fail to sell each year, even in a hot market. And so let's increase that from 50 to 75%. And so 75% of 9 is, let's just say 7 listings. So at an average of $9,000, that's $63,000 in GCI. I don't know about you, but that would be pretty awesome. And that's not calculating, you guys, all the overflow that happens. And overflow, what do I mean by that? You get a sign call that results in you taking another listing or getting a buyer under contract. It doesn't take into consideration the neighbor that sees that you sold that house and they call you because they want to make a move. So it's not taking into consideration all those other areas that could bring in business. And so I think that's a conservative number, because if you had 9 additional listings, you're going to get opportunity from that, right? And leads that come in. And so it's only looking at just taking the 9 new listings. And so there's a lot of benefit to having listings and having inventory. And as you move into phase 2, phase 3, you can see that those numbers increase, right? Because your conversion rates increase. And so, make it a goal to get your conversion rates up as best that you can. All right, so the plan, so the no do have of the expired plan. So we have a prospect, right? That's the potential seller. And then we're gonna have a call to close method. So what do we need to know? We need to have some dialogues, right? Some scripts. And we've talked about this before, and scripts are what makes you strong when it comes to overcoming objections, when it comes to developing relationships really quickly. When I first decided I wanted to do this as a profession and teach and speak, I joined Toastmasters because I had a real bad habit of talking very fast when I got nervous. And so I joined Toastmasters to help me overcome that. one of my favorite things that they taught us was the impromptu speaking. And impromptu speaking is basically they have a word of the day and someone poses a question and you get called on and you have to use the word of the day in order to qualify, but you have 1 to 2 minutes to answer the question, but you don't know what the question is until it's read to you. So it's impromptu speaking and thinking quick on your feet. And so, you know, I love that because I learned a lot about how scripts and dialogues play into that, because when I have an immediate answer that's already just programmed in my DNA, I don't get tripped up, Tommy, if someone throws me something, right? I did a presentation last week on for social media, and someone threw a question to me, and it literally, I was like, I don't have an answer to this question, right? And it totally threw me off my presentation. And so in that moment, I was reminded about, oh yeah, scripts and dialogues are important, and having impromptu speaking, right? Because it's been a long time since someone threw me a question and I didn't know an answer. And so I had to take that offline. So I made a quick comeback, but like I said, the scripts and dialogues, when they become a part of your DNA, it makes it so much easier when you get thrown those questions, because the last thing we want to do is have deer in the headlights, right? And kind of freeze. Now, that being said, there's times when it's okay to say, I don't know the answer. Or to say, you know, for Jessica and Tommy, you know, you guys are new, and I know that might feel uncomfortable to say, I don't have the answer, right? But more, you know, one of my favorite ways to say it is, I'm pretty sure I know the answer, but let me verify it. I'd hate to give you inaccurate information. Let me get back to you on that, right? And that's a great way, because you're saying, hey, I'm pretty sure I know the answer. I really don't. I'm having to go find out, but I don't want you to know I don't know, right? And so when you say I want to verify something, then that elevates their confidence in you that, oh yeah, they do want to make sure that they're being factual. So we're going to go through some of those dialogues, and then the call list. Obviously got to have that, and then your tracking sheets, which you'll get a real simple tracking sheet in the materials, and then the pre-listing questionnaire, which you're also going to get in the materials. So one thing about momentum is we don't just lecture on the subject, we actually give you all the stuff that you need, okay? That being said, on call lists, we're going to talk about, if you look in your materials on page 5, there is a reference to the redx.com. And I think if you saw what did Shannon talk about recently? Oh, it was in the office meeting last week. The people getting in trouble with using systems like RedX. And so make sure that you are scrubbing those, that you're not calling people that are on the do not call logs. Apparently that's become a hot button again for lawsuits with agents and all the robo dialers and things that are out there. So just make sure you're following the rules. Tommy?
That was scary. That was scary. I actually, after Thursday's meeting, I was like a little timid, you know. I realized there was some exposure out there, but I didn't realize it went that far, you know.
Oh yeah.
So
there is definitely
listening to Michael, the lawyer. I guess his name was Michael, right?
Yeah.
And man, those are some scary stories. Yeah, scary.
That meeting is the best and the worst, right? Because it scares the crap out of us, but it's also a good reminder of all the things we shouldn't do, right? And you know, being what makes our brokerage amazing, because we have that meeting every year, and we have people come in and share with us stuff that keeps us out of hot water, right? The story of the animal urine, in fact, we had one of my agent friends, she posted a picture of, she just bought a house and they're renovating it, and the carpet was just disgusting with urine. And I told her, I said, hey, we just talked about this in our office meeting this morning. There was a lawsuit about it because the agent covered it up. And she said they did the same thing here. They had the carpets shampooed, and then as we were living here, the smell came back. And so I was like, well, there you go. This is exactly the situation. You know, she's not going to sue, but, you know, because she planned on renovating anyways, but what if, right? What if? And so those are all things we got to be careful about. So, all right. I personally, you know, when it comes to like call lists, I'm not a big cold caller, so that's just not in my DNA of who I am. I would much rather deliver a priority mail envelope to someone's house and have a conversation that way versus calling them up. I don't like being called and solicited on my phone, so I certainly don't like doing it as an agent. So, but that's not to say some of you might enjoy that. You might want to get on the phone and just do the robo dialer. Just do it the right way, okay? So you're not getting in trouble. All right, so why call an expired? Because 90% of them still have a need to sell, right? They still have a desire to sell their home. So why do these sellers seem so irritated? Well, because like I said earlier, they spent 6 months in an unproductive relationship with an agent. And so if you were promised something on the front end, and you would be irritated too, right? If you got through 6 months and every time your home is shown, it's a disruption. And again, you know, the communication starts to dwindle over the 6-month period, right? So in the material, so by the time the listing is expired, the seller is angry and hates all real estate agents. Remember, your goal is to get from the phone to the house so they can test drive your value proposition and self-discover why you are different, okay? And so, you know, if you look at page 6, so you have 1 week, everything's good, we're excited, we're in flow. 1 month later, things are slowing down, sellers feeling rejected. 3 months, they feel depressed, and by 6 months, they're just flat out upset, right? And you would be too. You would be too. Last week we talked about having the sellers take accountability, right? And so all these things, and as you work your way through momentum classes, you're going to see how they all sort of overlap and connect to each other, because one doesn't exist without the other, where it doesn't exist without the other. So last week we talked about pricing, and so if we're having the seller take accountability and responsibility for pricing, then hopefully we shouldn't have an expired listing, right? And so these are the people that didn't have that type of agent, right? And so that's one thing I love about everything we teach in momentum, is how everything overlaps each other. All right, so the main purpose of your call is basically just to get an appointment, right? Just get in, get out, get the appointment, right? Because we can't really show them who you are on the phone, right? And so, and I know for me personally, I'm much better in person than I am on the phone. So we want to get MAD, right? So what does MAD stand for? So mentally tough, right? Got to have some thick skin, absolutely committed, and then detached from the outcome. And so detached from the outcome, I think, is super important, right? Because if they curse you out and hang up, you know, you got to be all of these things in order to pick up the phone and make the next call, or go and door knock on the next door, right? And so all these things are important. And I probably wouldn't door knock right now. I would just leave the priority mail envelope. And the priority mail envelopes, you guys can go to the post office. They're sitting there on the counter. Take a handful of them. They're there for your use. And to me, it looks really nice, right? It's priority mail, so Jessica's gonna get opened, right? And if they're a year out, right, it's just a nice little letter. And I'm going to give you guys a script in here that says, you know, I specialize in selling homes that should have sold that didn't. All right. And if I could help you get your home sold for top dollar, would you still be interested? So we'll go through some of that, and all the scripts in here could be turned into a type of letter, if you will, for the priority mail envelope. All right. So getting on the proper channel. This is also important. Okay. So because again, got to get mentally tough, right? And have all these things in your arsenal set up. So before the call, 20-minute warm up. So review your mission statement, vision, and values. Review your core office beliefs, right? And we've got some samples in here. Rehearse the scripts and dialogues out loud, and then visualize the successful conversations and the outcome for 5 minutes. So the outcome is, hey, I can get in and get the appointment, right? And so, you know, really setting yourself up with a warm up. If you're going to use Red-X actually does have a role play option, so they'll role play with you, and they have easy, medium, hard, and evil, and so they'll role play with you just to get you ready for any of those difficult conversations. During the call, you want to stand up when you make your calls, you know, get a headset, walk around, and then remain upbeat, positive, and confident. But don't get into the cheerleader sing-songy mode, right? That's annoying and it makes people uncomfortable. So don't get in that space. If you've ever had a conversation with someone like that, at least for me, my high D, I want to reach through the phone and throat punch them, right? Because it's annoying. So stay confident, right? But don't get sing-songy cheerleader. So sound genuine, right? Be interested in helping other people, but don't sound desperate. There's a fine line there, right? And if you sound desperate, I got to get this listing because I need to pay my bills. That will be conveyed through your phone call. And then stay hydrated. Your brain is 80% water, and especially with our extreme heat here, you definitely want to stay hydrated. And you wouldn't think sitting there making phone calls or prospecting would be tiresome, but it does, right? Because, you know, you're using your brain, you're using your voice, using your energy, so all those things. So stay hydrated. After the call, so you want to evaluate, learn, release, and rejuvenate, and then focus. So rate the call on a scale of 1 to 10. Determine what would have made it a 10 or a 10 plus. Review the appropriate scripts, and then rehearse. And then, you know, rehearse out loud the preferred response. And then you got to let it go, right? Let go of what didn't work. And then, you know, move on to the next, right? And here's the thing: you want to end. You want to end on a high note. Because if you end your prospecting on somebody hanging up and telling you that realtors suck, what's going to happen the next time expired prospecting comes up on your calendar?
Yeah, you're not gonna feel very positive about that.
Right, you're not going to want to do it because you're going to have the hot stove syndrome, right? Where I felt I got burned and someone told me I was horrible, and so I'm not going to feel energetic. And even if that's leaving a message, and just leaving a message, and that's how you end your call time. So definitely end on a positive note. And that goes with any prospecting, honestly. All right, so expired call warm up. So center your focus by reviewing some listing basics. So let's take 30 seconds and read through these. All right, so what do we think of these?
Pretty straightforward.
Okay, straightforward, I like it. Anything stand out to you that you're like, I don't know if I buy into that? So number one is super important for all of you guys because, when we think about, a lot of new agents will gravitate towards rentals and towards buyers, and they don't want to do listings because they feel like, well, I don't have the listing presentation, I don't have the marketing budget. And I say, don't buy into that. Sorry, I got a little tickle in my throat. Because here's the thing, if you're pricing and you're pricing the house the right way and you use the MLS, those are the exposures that you need. And so don't fall into that. And trust me when I tell you, listing homes is a lot easier than buyers. Let's see.
See, that's all I ever did was listings.
So we're gonna be dealing with one client.
Number 8 is also important because cost is only the issue in the absence of value. And so when we're talking about commission, and we're not here to talk about commission, and whatever you want to charge is what you want to charge. However, when we sit across the table from someone and we're going to ask for how many ever apples you're going to charge, you need to make sure that seller feels like they're getting the value. And I think I talked to you guys a little bit about in one of the classes about the 110 things that the Russo team does when they sell a house. And so I'm happy to send that to you if I didn't already. So just send me an email, let me know you want it. Because again, you want to make sure that you're drilling deep. Like even talking about making a key for the lockbox is an important detail, right? And you got to remember that this person might have been in their home for the last 15 years. It's every day at the office for us. And I will tell you that you definitely got to talk about putting the house in the MLS, because if you fail to do that and somebody comes in behind you and they talk about putting the house in the MLS, that has caused agents to not get listings.
Yeah.
And it's sort of a dumb moment, right? Because like, why wouldn't I put your house in the MLS? But because they didn't say it and the next agent did, they lost the listing. So make sure you're drilling really deep, because cost is only an issue in the absence of value. And you need to look at yourself and say, am I delivering X apples worth of value, right? So again, I'm happy to share that document with you guys. Anything else? Any other thoughts on this? All right. All right, so making the calls, there are no magic words, only magic acts. So what if they're not home? Be vague in your first message, right? Second call, at a different time, you get the machine, you can leave a little bit more specific message. If no call back, now mail something. And again, if you don't want to make phone calls, jump right to the mail. But just make sure it's an effective piece that you're sending out. All right, so here's the script for the first message. So, hi, this is Sarah from Remax Professionals. I'm calling in regards to your home for sale. Please return my call at your earliest convenience and leave my phone number. Thank you. Hope you're having a great day. Second call. Hi, this is Sarah with Remax Professionals. I specialize in homes that should have sold that didn't. I love that. I think it's such a powerful line. Please return my call at and leave my phone number so we can discuss other options you have for getting your home sold. Thanks, and I hope you're having a great day. Or here's an alternative. So I would like to talk to you about a more effective way to sell your home. Please return my call at my number, and then we can discuss the other options you have in getting your home sold. I personally like the first one because it really to me is well, what's different about this guy that they specialize in homes that should have sold that didn't, right? And so I just think it's a lot more powerful than the second script, but both are good. So it's whatever resonates with you.
Sarah?
Yes.
Question. Do you think that if you got the whole list of the FSBOs, what percentage of those people do you think are really waiting for a realtor to give them a call? Do you think they are? Do you think there's not too many? Do you think they're really jaded? What's your professional opinion on that?
I think they're prepared for agents to call, but I think they're annoyed when agents call.
Okay.
Because a lot of
So when I'm going to teach you a completely different concept in the for sale by owners, the second half of the class, that's totally not about getting the listing at all.
Okay.
It's not about that, because the conversation starts out with, I want to help you get your home sold. And so you're coming at them in a totally different approach versus, because that's what most agents do, is they call the for sale by owner up and they want to get the appointment to list their house. And then what does the for sale by owner do? They put up their defenses.
They resist, yeah.
Yeah, they resist it, right? And they put up their defenses. So this approach I'm going to teach you is totally opposite of that.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Good question. And again, I don't know necessarily a percentage, Tommy. I think that the for sale by owners expect the calls from the agents, but they don't, they get defensive, right? They don't want to have that conversation with you. But I also do think most of them will pay you a commission if you bring them a buyer.
Gotcha.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And there are some that won't. I had a conversation with somebody in the Kansas City market last week, and she said that there was a for sale by owner. You know, they have lake communities there, and she was going to show this house, and the for sale by owner said, if you're with them, I will not sell them my house. And so that guy,
Oh, wow.
but he's overpriced, and he's being a jerk, right? And so he's going to sit on the market until he comes to realization that he needs an agent, right?
Yeah.
But that's a rarity, right? Not everybody's like that. So, all right, page 11. So building consistent habits. So the first goal with any new activity is to build confidence and consistency. So the opening phone dialogue or in person. I noticed your home listing expired today. I was calling to see if you still have a desire to sell your home. Or I noticed your listing expired today, and I was calling to see if you're still serious about selling your home. If they say no, okay, thanks, have a great day. Great, may I set up an appointment to come see and share with you a proactive plan for getting it sold? And then if they say yes, then you're going to move into page 22 on the pre-listing questionnaire form that we have. A lot of times people are going to say, you know, when we're going to go through some of the options, right, of what they might say if they didn't know their house was expired. And I don't have a magic number, you guys, as far as like when to call and what's the right time to call and how soon after it expires. I think they get inundated with people calling right after it expires. So that's why I personally like to go back further, just because, you know, they're getting hammered by a bunch of people in that first 24 hours and even maybe the first week. And I think you're more likely to run into the person who's like, just stop calling. You know, why are you guys calling me? Leave me alone, right? And so I think that's go back even 30 days, you know, and sift through them that way, because they get inundated that first few days.
Well, I think too, with the dynamics of the market, someone who's been off the market 6 months to a year, they might have a much better opportunity to sell now, perhaps, than they did last year. No.
Yeah, for sure. And even someone 5 years ago is going to have
Sure.
an opportunity to sell now, right? So yeah, that personally is, they just get so many calls in that first few days. All right, so page 12. Let's see. So I'm going to skip down to the second part there. So the closing. So if you get them to say yes. So I am a real estate consultant who specializes in homes that should have sold but didn't. If it's okay, I'd like to come out, introduce myself, and gain an understanding of what you need in a successful transaction. Together we can decide if I'm the professional who can handle the job of getting your home sold. And then I'm going to go over some power phrases with you, which some of you may not like the power phrases, and that's okay, right? They're not for everybody, but they are, you know, they're power phrases, right? And so they can be used for more difficult people. And so a couple of things that are important is I'm a real estate consultant who specializes in homes that should have sold that didn't. And then together we can decide if I'm the professional who can handle the job of getting your home sold. Because then that way, you may not want to work with them, right? And then, but that's giving them an out as well, that if they don't like you and they've just had 6 months, right? Maybe they, you know, maybe they need, like I said, I like the way that's worded because it gives them the out because, you know, they just had a crappy relationship, if that makes sense. All right, so stay curious, right? Get out of judgment and into curiosity. One of my favorite, like, just life affirmations, right? Especially right now, there's so much judgment going on in the world, so stay curious. Page 13, if you're following along the materials. So when in doubt, ask the following questions. So why do you feel your home didn't sell? I really don't know. So then you follow up with, did you have a lot of showings? What was the feedback? Did any of the buyers who came through your home buy another home? Did similar homes to yours sell while it was on the market? How did you arrive at your price? Do you know the pricing benchmarks and trends that exist in your area? Are you aware of the quarterly trends that may exist in your neighborhood? Did you do a price reduction while your home was on the market? Which you could find that information in MLS too. Were you informed about the consequences of pricing your home high in the neighborhood? Are you aware of the price per square foot sold ranges of the expired homes in your area? Which I would probably leave that out because we don't really want to do price per square foot. If they say no to any of these, then do you think this type of information would be valuable to you in trying to sell your home? So then wouldn't it be a good time for me to come out to share this information I have tonight at 7 p.m.? Does that work for you? These are all things that are important for a seller to know. So, I mean, if we're not informing the seller of this now, maybe that's something we should all take note, right, and implement, because these are all important things. And, you know, homes do, you know, in Phoenix, we have 360 days of sunshine, right? And so homes do sell all 4 quarters, but there are preferred times to sell. And knowing those preferred times, and, you know, a home with a pool doesn't have the same value in the winter months as it does in the summer months. And so those are things that do exist in our market. And so we do need to pay attention to those things, but homes do sell all 4 quarters in Phoenix, right? And so I think having all this information, and this is going to show them that you're different, because a lot of agents aren't providing this information. All right, so obviously we're not going to role play given our Zoom locations right now. So common seller responses. So there are a limited number of responses that you'll hear from a seller. So to enhance your confidence, you should internalize short phrases to effectively and immediately counter the most common responses. So page 14. So I wish you realtors would stop calling me. If you call expireds, you are going to hear that. I understand your frustration. My intent is not to harass you, but rather to help you sell your home. So what do you say? Are you open to a more proactive way? We are going to relist with our current agents. Great. Have you signed an extension yet? If they have, then move on, because they're already under contract with someone else. We're going to take it off the market. Well, if you could sell your home in the next 30 to 45 days, would you? Are you saying you can sell my home in the next 30 to 45 days? I am. However, first, I would need to make sure the plan we implement falls well within your definition of a win. What do you mean my listing has expired? You will also hear that too. The MLS shows your home is no longer available for sale. Do you have a copy of your listing agreement? When was the last time you heard from your agent? My realtor told me it was the wrong time of year. Again, homes sell in all 4 quarters here, so that's BS if they tell them that. So did your agent show you the quarterly trends for your neighborhood? Would you see value in that kind of information? Do you have a buyer for my home? If you do, great. But if you don't lie. So not currently. I do, however, receive calls on a daily basis. And should your home fit the criteria of one of my buyers, it would be the first one I would show. How much do you charge? Don't want to talk commission on the phone, right? Always remember that. That's a great question. Since my commission is understandably very important to you, how about I come out and share my plan to sell your home, and at the end of our meeting, you let me determine what I am worth. Is that fair? And here was just a thought I had was, what if you went at it? What if you did have a buyer, right? And you have a buyer with specific needs, and you looked at the expired inventory, and that was the approach, is that, hey, I do have a buyer for your home, because there are a lot of people out there trying to buy, and maybe that is the approach. I mean, that's something to kind of think about, right? Is if you do have a buyer and they're looking and you got beat out on other offers, maybe you go into the expired inventory and see what's out there. So just a thought that popped in my head. All right, so advanced dialogue. So when all seems at lost, go to one of the following power phrases. So you should never say no until you know what you're saying no to. There are many opportunities available you never knew existed. Worst case scenario, you'll find out exactly why your home didn't sell and have a specific plan on how to get it sold. Who knows, we may find out we speak the same language. Wouldn't it be worth an hour of your time to see if there might be a better approach to getting your home sold? At this point, what do you have to lose? You gave your previous agent 6 months. How about you give me an hour? I wouldn't be calling if I didn't think I could help you. So what do you say? I like the second to the last one. You gave your previous agent 6 months. How about you give me an hour? Any thoughts on those? Do they feel creepy or used car salesman?
Nah, they're straightforward. I like them.
I figured you would say you liked them.
Yeah. It shows confidence, and I think I'm new, so maybe I'm guessing maybe a lot of these people were dealing with agents maybe that didn't have the same. I'm going to say this the wrong way. Didn't have the same hunger as a new person who is willing to go maybe the extra
Or it's a
mile,
friend
maybe
of a
not as
family
busy
member.
as an experienced agent right now, and is willing to drive further or do whatever.
Yeah,
So maybe they'll like that.
possibly your fresh approach.
Or if it was a friend of the family selling their home and they
Yes.
didn't really,
Didn't pay much
attention to it or something,
Yeah, and that's a good point. When we get referred our friends and family, those are golden, and you can't ever take that for granted. And in fact, I feel like they deserve more service
Yeah.
than
Yes.
somebody, and everybody deserves service, right? Don't get me wrong, but when you get your best friend or a family member, you need to treat them better than you would treat the average person, because you never ever want them to feel like you're taking for granted the fact that you're related, right? You show up, be professional, don't show up casual, right? In cut off shorts and a tank top. You're going to show up in the same professional manner you would show up for a stranger off the street. Okay. So don't ever take those relationships for granted. All right. How am I doing on time here? So it's 20 minutes till. So I am, look at this stuff here and make sure. So on pages 16 through 20 are several different scripts. So you have the rejection for your appointment. You're the 22nd person that's called me today, right? I wish you would stop calling me. We're going to relist with our current agent. We're going to take the home off the market. Are you saying that you can sell my home? So these are all like further just diving into the dialogues that we just kind of went through on this page here. And so just kind of, or no, one more back. Where'd it go? There we go. Well, anyway, you know the page I'm talking about. So it just goes into a little bit deeper. So read through those scripts and, have them. And again, scripts are very powerful in the sense that, when something gets thrown at you, and all these objections are very common objections that happen. And so, make sure that you've got a dialogue that you can overcome that. Let's see. So then you have what do you mean you specialize in homes that didn't sell that should have? Do you have a buyer for my home? I just want to be left alone. All of you guys are the same. So they're all the dialogues that go a little bit deeper with that. And then I wanted to show you, before we move on to for sale by owners. Well, where'd it go? I guess it's not on here. Okay. So on page 22, the last page, it's not on there on the screen. I don't know why, but it is the listing intake checklist, right? A questionnaire. Title Alliance has this branded to you guys, so they can actually customize it to you. We added a few features to this, so she's got that. So if you guys want to have your picture put on it or any of that, we can have it customized to you, okay? And like I said, we added a few things to it because we felt like it needed to have some additional information on there. But this pre-listing question, because again, when you're taking a listing, you become the investigator, right? I want to investigate what's going to cause this home to sell and what causes the homes around it to sell. So I want to gather as much information as I can. So having the pre-listing questions is important, because I gotta know, right? And one of the things that I ask that's not on here is, what do they think their home is worth? And if they say, well, that's what I'm calling you about, well, now I know I'm probably dealing with a D personality. Most people are not going to do that. Most people are going to say, hey, Megan, yeah, I think my house is worth this, or we were hoping to get this. I also think that as much as I have a hate relationship with Zillow, and especially now that they're opening brick and mortar in Phoenix, I'm going to ask them, or at least I'm going to go look on Zillow and see what Zillow says the house is worth. Not because I'm using it as a comp, but because I just need to know, because if they own a home, they've been on Zillow, right? And they've looked at Zillow, and in most cases, Zillow is not our friend when it comes to pricing homes. And so, yeah, so I'm going to ask those questions, okay? The other thing that we added to this is how much do they owe on the property, and do they have more than one mortgage? Because, you know, I want to know that, because if they have more than one mortgage, I might have to change my conversation into a short sale conversation. Not very many sellers are underwater, but there are still some that are. And so you want to ask that question of what do they owe, and if they have more than one mortgage, okay? So pre-listing questions. The other thing that's on page 21 is a tracker. So I mentioned it's pretty basic, right? But tracking how many dials, how many talks did you have, what was your set rate, meaning how many appointments did you set, and then how many meetings did you actually go on, and then how many appointments did you, that became an actual listing. And so you got to track this stuff, because one, it's going to tell you what your conversion rates are, right? What's your source of business? You want to track everything that you're doing, regardless of what the appointments are or what the source is. You want to be tracking that, okay? And one cool thing about Momentum is every class that we teach has some tracker in it that we provide for you, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel, okay? All right, with that being said, let's switch gears and talk about for sale by owners. Get out of this one. I didn't actually look. Hold on before we do that. Let's go and just do a quick little thing. Has anybody looked on, this is one thing I do like Zillow for, is to look for sale by owners. So let's say buy a home. Here, I'll do a share screen so you guys can see. So let's go, I can do for sale, let's see. For sale. And where did it go? Let's just go Glendale.
This is Redfin.
Here we go. For sale by owner. So this guy is having an open house on Saturday. Somebody should go to this one. So you can see here, well, there's a way to winnow this down too. Where is it? It used to be right on the search thing. Oh, here we go. There it is. Okay, for sale by owners. All right. So now I can see all the houses that are for sale by owners. That's a decent amount, you guys, just in Glendale. And then I can see over here their contact information. And that's I mean, they're not all crazy prices, but I mean, this would be a good listing right here, 850. So there's some opportunities there inside of Zillow. So, and that's just looking at Glendale. Let's go look at Peoria. There's even more in Peoria. Yeah, so there's some opportunities. That's a good one right there, 420,000. Let's click on that and just see what Zillow says it's worth. So look at that. Zillow says it's worth $372,000, and they've got it priced at 420. And so could that be an opportunity to call that for sale by owner and have a little conversation about pricing, if in fact that's accurate, 372. So there's opportunities there, you guys, on Zillow is what I was getting at, to find for sale by owners. Right, let me get back to my PowerPoint. All right, so you guys should also have the materials for this class in your email as well. All right, so first page is we're going to test your confidence. And so when you look at these questions on here, if there was 80 people in the room and each of them needed to sell their home and they would list with a realtor, you have 20 minutes face to face with each person. How many people do you think you could convince to hear your listing presentation? How many would you could convince to list with you, given if there was no competition, right? You're the only realtor in the room. The percentage would sell, and what would be the total transactions procured from the room. And of course, if we're talking about an average sales price of around 300,000, what would be your total GCI? So just take a minute and think about those questions. What do you think, Jessica? How many people do you think you could get to talk to you?
Well, actually, going back to your Toastmaster thing, I've done Toastmasters as well. And so, like, being able to just come up on the spot or relate to somebody, you have to be able to read the people that you're going to be with as well. So I'm very confident that, like, me just being able to observe the people and how they talk and all of that, I'll give it like at least half, hopefully half, yeah. But yes, somewhere out there, because yeah, like you said, I had to have the confidence, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But
Okay.
yes, somewhere around there.
I don't know where Tommy and Fawn went, but what do you think, Fawn? What could you do?
Maybe half. Maybe half.
You think half? Okay.
Tommy would probably try to get like 79. He's on a phone call. So.
All right, Megan and Max, what do you guys think? They're in witness protection, so.
Can you hear me? This is Max. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're real low, but we can hear you.
Then I'll be a little more forceful then.
There we go.
I don't know, I would shoot for probably 20.
20, okay.
That sounds low, but I'd rather speak with the people that I know I can relate to than try to convince people I don't relate with, right? So 20 would be a good number to pull out of a room of 80 people, I would think.
Okay, fair enough. I like that. Megan, how about you? All right. I don't know where Megan's at, but yeah, so I mean, this is a good exercise of just testing your confidence, right? And seeing where you're at. And then, you know, and of course you guys can figure out the percentage of sell is, you know, you don't want listings to expire, right? We want 100% of stuff we take to sell. However, things do happen, you know, maybe seller finds out they need a new roof, they can't afford it, so house comes off the market. I mean, there are things that happen, or someone changes their mind. So there are reasons that homes don't sell besides just being expired because they, you know, were overpriced. All right, so course overview today. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about, again, proactive approach to working with for sale by owners. I love this class, I love the concept that's taught. And then to be confident enough to follow up with them. And of course, always the goal is to increase our revenue, right? We always want to be leading with revenue. So we're going to talk about for sale by owners, and then that of course could be buyers. They could be, you know, a for sale by owner could be a buyer as well. And then again, talking about the client care system, your CRM, the yard sign, home ads, internet just listed. So those are all things we're going to cover in the next few minutes. All right, so again, financial consequences of a proactive lead generator. And so this one looks a little bit different, right? So if you're going to visit 2 for sale by owners per week, that's a total of 90 for the year. If you had a 15% set rate, again, pretty conservative, that would be 14 appointments. And again, if you're at a 50%, so that would be 7 new listings. And we're going to go with 75% that sell in our market. So this is going to be more like 5 or 6 sold. And again, doing the math, right? What is that, about $50,000? If we said 5 closings, 5 times 9, 45,000. So again, this doesn't take into consideration those for sale by owners that buy from you, the other leads that you get from having the signs up, the neighbor decides to list with you, all those other ancillary things that come from having signs in yards, right? So it doesn't take that into consideration. All right. So the plan. So the plan, again, we got to have some dialogues, which we're going to go over, and then we need to have the list, right? Having an inventory sheet, a clipboard, and a pen, and we're going to talk about why that's important. Your tape measure, which you can buy on Amazon, or you could buy it at We Serve. They sell them there. And having an electronic tape measure makes you look really cool in a listing appointment. So invest in them. And you know, when I first started selling real estate, measurements were huge. Bedroom measurements were a big deal because people wanted to know how big rooms were or how big the living space was. And then we kind of got lazy and people stopped putting that information in there. And I think it's important details, right? And I was taught that you shouldn't leave anything blank in the MLS, right? If it's got a field that can be filled out, you should fill it out. Now, that doesn't mean that you walk a bedroom like my mom used to do when I was a kid to measure it, right? You want to be accurate with that. So those electronic tape measures are pretty cool. Seller disclosure. Your follow-up information you're going to drop off to the for sale by owner, thank you notes, and again, another tracking sheet. And if you need a map, then having a map. I actually still have, somewhere in a box, I still have my old MLS map book. I bet Fawn probably has one too. So I don't even know if you can buy those anymore. Everybody relies so much on GPS now. So, but back in the day, I used to actually, because I came from a small town, I used to actually read map books. So I would know where roads were and not worry about getting lost, because that was the worst. So. All right, so why visit a for sale by owner? Because 100% of these people have raised their hand and said they have a desire to sell their home. So why did they go for sell by owner? And it's because they don't want to pay commission, right? And or sometimes they can think that their house is overpriced. And so, you know, and those ones can be a little bit more difficult, but it's typically because they don't want to pay a commission. And then if everybody were just in it to save money, we would all drive Yugos. So the perception is value, right? For sell by owners don't think that a realtor is worth their commission. What's interesting though, is that a for sale by owner will work with the realtor to buy something, which is just crazy, right? Because, you know, they'll have an agent represent them, but they don't want to have an agent help them sell. So that's just it's an interesting thought process that they have. So on page 7, so the number one goal is to differentiate yourself from the competition. This means you need to look, sound, and behave differently from the very beginning. All right. So typical behavior results in reaps typical results. Okay. Which, you know, the average agent is in the poverty level, right? When you look at the national average agent. And so we don't want you to be in there. We want you to be thriving. So at the top of page 7, before I move on, there are 6 different possible streams of income that could come from having a conversation with a for sale by owner. You get to list their home. You can sell their home, right, to a buyer. You work with them as a buyer. You can get referrals, or you get to refer them. Say they're moving out of state, you could refer them to an agent, or you could provide a flat fee to help them negotiate the paperwork and do the closing. So those are some different ways that you can make money from for sale by owners. All right, so the drive-by plan. So the key is to be proactive and atypical. So, you know, you want to look at what's your home base. And so is it your home? And, you know, for Tommy, he lives in, where does he live, in Whitman? I don't know that you want to make that your home base. So maybe it'd be the surprise office and you make your base there, right? And so you'd have a 2-mile radius around your home base. And then you can expand that, right, to 4 miles up to 6 miles. And the reason being is that you're going to go by every week for 4 weeks. And so if you live in Avondale, you're not going to drive every week to Gilbert, right? And so it just doesn't make sense to do that. So you're going to want to pick something that makes sense within the radius, either your home or your home office. And then you would expand that up to 6 miles, because you want to make it realistic for you to do the plan consistently. And you're not going to drive across town every week for 4 weeks. Plus, are you really an expert? If you live in Avondale, are you an expert in Gilbert? Probably not, right? You don't know where the schools are. You don't know where the hospitals are, all of the nuances of that community. So be an expert in where you live. All right, so your success with the for sale by owner is directly related to your willingness to be proactive, right, and follow up. So there's 5 steps to that. And step 1 is the first visit, right, is we're gonna take them a seller disclosure, because every house that sells in Arizona needs a seller disclosure statement. They probably don't know that, right? So you're gonna take them a blank spuds, and then you're gonna have your inventory sheets, and we're gonna go through each of these things. Step 2 is hand deliver part 1 of the for sale by owner guide. So whatever, these are just examples. You guys can drop off whatever you want. It could be a seller guide on 100 ways to sell your home. It could be any kind of checklists. I think ways to take title could be important, how to qualify someone, you know, lender information, what is earnest money. So anything that's relative to them getting the job done, you know, and helping them. The concept is I want to help you sell your home, okay? And then so any step 2, you're gonna visit 4 times, and each time you're going to take them something of value. Again, doesn't matter what it is. The seller disclosure is an important one. You definitely want to make sure that's on your list. But beyond that, the other 3 things, I don't really care. Whatever you have in your, you know, in your arsenal of stuff, take it to them. Okay, so long as it is something to help them get the job done. Step 5 is you're going to follow up with weekly phone calls until they either list with you or they sell their home. And I had 2 really great stories about for sale by owner success. Juan Acevedo, he actually had sold a house right down the street from a for sale by owner, and he just went to knock on the door and tell the guy that, hey, I think you're underpriced. I think you can get more for your house because I just sold this house for this price. And he ended up getting the listing. And because the for sale by owner said, I'm calling you because you didn't ask me to list my house. So key thing there, you guys, is they don't want you to try to list them, right? And so because he just went and knocked on the door and said, hey, I just want you to know I sold this house, that's what opened the door. Joe Borland had a similar experience. He went to knock on the door for the for sale by owner because he was listing a house in a neighborhood and he wanted to use it as a comp. Wanted to know what they had it priced at and if they'd had any showings and what was their activity. And again, because he didn't ask for the listing, the for sale by owner called him up and said, hey, I really appreciated that. Will you come list my home? Okay, so those are 2 examples of real life stories that support the concept that's taught in this, that don't go knock on their door trying to get the listing. All right, so the importance of follow-up. So 50% of your competition will quit after week 1. I would say that there's probably not even 50% of your competition working for sale by owners, because most agents, when they see a FSBO, they hit the gas and they drive right on by because they think that seller's crazy, they hate realtors, or that seller's crazy and they're overpriced. So I would say that 50% of agents aren't even working for sale by owners because they don't feel confident and they don't have a plan. And so when we have low inventory, Fawn, we should be all working for sale by owners. 75% of your competition will quit after week 2. 90% after week 3, and 100% will quit after week 4. And so again, I think these numbers may even be higher than that just because of the fact that most agents are not working for sale by owners. All right, so I love this affirmation. You will not convert 100% of the leads you do not generate. And so, you know, we shouldn't get out of bed in the morning and wonder who needs our services. And so filling our pipeline is an essential thing that we do. And we're so hyper-focused on someone who needs our help today that we get disappointed when someone might be 6 months out. But here's the deal, you know, you need that lead in 6 months, so fill your pipelines, right? So don't get out of bed and wonder who needs your help. So the door knock, right? Hi, this is Sarah with Remax Professionals. I noticed that your home is for sale. Would you mind if I came in, viewed the home, and took some room measurements so I can add you to my for sale by owner inventory? Or another way to say that is I could add you to my secret inventory. And so and then people like that, right? Ooh, I'm on a secret inventory list, right? 3 things that the for sale by owner could say. What is that? Right? What's your secret inventory? So here's the opportunity to differentiate yourself. I have a process I use with all my buyers where we uncover the criteria for their perfect home. Then I take that criteria and match it to homes in both the MLS and my for sale by inventory to make sure that the buyers who work with me get the home they want, and more importantly, want the home they get. So what do you say? Would you like a preferred exposure to a focused group of buyers? The next thing that they could say is, do you have any buyers now? If you do, great, but don't lie. I'm currently working with buyers and receive phone calls on a daily basis. However, I need to view your home and take some room measurements so I can match your home to the criteria of my buyers. This demonstrates that you're being intentional and proactive. We don't want to work with a realtor. That's the next thing that they're going to say. So I can appreciate that, and I understand your concern. The reason for my visit today is not to list your home. I would simply like the opportunity to help you sell it. All I want to do is come in, view the home, and take a few measurements. No pressure and no pitch. Come on, what do you have to lose? If they say no, go ahead and still give them the seller disclosure, right? And say, I wish you great success in the sale of your home. Here's my card. If there's ever anything I can do for you or anyone you know, please don't hesitate to call. And believe it or not, your goal was accomplished. You got face-to-face with the for sale by owner, okay? And again, leave them the seller disclosure because you're already going to work for them, right? All right. So over the phone, so this is important. Whatever is on that for sale by owner sign, follow the instructions, okay? Because if you go door knock when it says call for appointment, you're gonna already make them mad, right? And be an irritant. I found on Zillow, so I had a client that was looking for a house in Glendale, and I went on, because inventory is so limited, I actually was just looking for anything, right? So I reached out to a for sale by owner, and I actually got put through to an agent. And so I think for sale by owners think that they may be getting the leads when people are on Zillow, but Zillow is redirecting those leads to an agent that's paying, or who's a part of Zillow's premier stuff. So you may need to actually go buy the property to get the seller's information, okay? So don't necessarily rely on Zillow to be your point of contact. All right, so call by, so you follow the directions, right? So if this is on the phone, same script, right? If I want to come out and add you to my inventory, and it's the same responses, right? Of what they would say, you would just be saying it on the phone versus in person, okay? But the thing is it's a lot easier for them to reject you over the phone than it is if you're standing at their door, right? But you still have to, you still have to follow their instructions, and you just have to be good on the phone, try to close for the appointment. All right, so once you're in the home, here's the script. So thank you for allowing me the opportunity to view your home. What I'd like to do is tour the home, take some notes, and measure the rooms. It's been my experience that room measurements are very important. It would be great if as we're walking around, you pretend I'm the buyer and you point out what you feel are the selling features of your home. I would also appreciate it if you would document the dimensions as I measure the rooms, and then hand them your clipboard with the attached inventory sheet, which is the same one we just, or no, it's different, sorry. You're gonna get it, the inventory sheet in the materials. So here's the thing, when you do that, it's a closing technique. When you have them engage and write down the measurements, you are now building a rapport with them that's a part of your closing technique, okay? And when you ask them to tell you about what the selling features are, again, you're getting to know them, you're breaking down their walls. It's a closing technique, so don't overlook the power of that, okay? All right, so follow-up questions. So, and as you're touring the home, you want to share things, build rapport, right? Use the Ford script, which is what's up on the screen here. So Ford, family, are you originally from here? How long have you lived here? What brought you to the area? Why are you moving? Occupation, right? Ford is family, occupation, recreation, dreams. What do you do for a living? What got you into that line of work? How long have you been in that field? Do you enjoy that work? And then what do you do for fun on the weekends? Do you have any hobbies? If you see pictures, right, of vacation, family, friends, cool things that they're doing, they're golfing, whatever, those are all ways that you can engage them and break the ice, right? And look for ways to connect with them. You build rapport, right? So Jessica mentioned about paying attention to body language and reading people. That's a great thing to already know how to do, because that's part of what it makes a good salesperson, right? Is being able to read people's body language and paying attention. And people leak who they are, right? At the end of the day, human beings have a deep need to be heard, seen, and connected to. And when we can do that as an agent and mirror and become a chameleon, it's golden, right? Absolutely golden. So Jessica, use the Ford with your ability to read people, and you'll have no problems. All right, so with the seller, so closing in the visit number one. So you've given them, right? We gave them the item of value. So have you prepared the seller disclosure? So what is that? It's basically a notice of that discloses current condition of your home. Then hand that to them. The condition of our home is fine. I'm sure it is. However, state law requires that you supply each potential buyer with a copy. And then the closing here. So then I really appreciate you allowing me the opportunity to view and tour your home. I wish you great success in the sale. I'd like to keep in touch with you weekly so I can keep the information on your home up to date. Would that be okay? Would you like me to make copies of the seller disclosure and drop them back off tomorrow so you can hand them out to potential buyers? Again, thank you for your time. If there's ever anything I can do for you or anyone you know, please don't hesitate to call me. If when you visit the house, right, the first time, if they're not home, don't leave anything, right? Don't leave your business card, because that's just irritating. Because if you show up, how many times have you seen that, right? And I know when you go to like a vacant house, there's always like yard people and house cleaning and all these different things. It's the same thing for a for sale by owner. Don't leave anything. Just go back again, right? Go try a different time to see if you can catch them. After your initial visit, you're going to send a thank you note, and we've got some samples of thank you notes, so you don't even have to think about what to write in a thank you note. We give you the verbiage there. What else on here? Okay, that's it on this page. All right, so your for sale by owner inventory sheet, page 14. So this is what it looks like. And so you can change this if you want to, but you don't have to, right? Just copy this form and it's ready to go. So it's got all your information on there. Some of these things you can pull from tax record, like the year built, the lot size, taxes, all of that. And maybe you have some of that pre-filled out before you go, but having them fill out the measurements, all of that stuff, right? And any other details on there that you want to add. So, but pretty cool. You guys already have it in your materials. All right, so your next thing. So step 2, taking them something, again, of value, whatever it is. I don't care what it is. I think ways to take title is a good one, right? Because they're going to need that. You could take them a sample purchase contract if you wanted to. So, there's the sky's the limit on what you take them, okay? Hi, I just happened to be in the neighborhood and thought I would drop this by. I definitely think it will help you in the sale of your home. How did it go this week? Have there been any changes in the information you provided me? Is there anything I can help you with? If you ever need anything, please don't hesitate to call. Again, we're going to send another thank you note, right, in the mail after the first visit. This time, if the for sale by owner is not home, it's okay to leave the information there because you've already met them. You've been in their home. They've let you tour. It won't be annoying to them, okay? But you want to call, right? Call to verify, did you get the envelope I left at your front door? And the cool thing, I know what it was I wanted to say about on the last slide, is with the seller disclosure, when you offer to make copies of it and drop it back by, you're going to work for them. And you're doing something for them that I guarantee you, your competition and even people who have taken this class are not doing it. And so you're already going to work for them and providing a service to them. And so that's a really important script in there, an important thing to offer to do. So don't overlook that. All right. So your third visit. So hi again, I was thinking about you. That's a key phrase in there, because if someone's thinking about you, it means that you care about them, right? And it shows professionalism and courtesy. So don't overlook that either. And so I was thinking about you the other day and I thought I would drop this by. How did it go this week? Has there been any changes? Is there anything I can help you with? Don't hesitate to call if there is. Okay, so every 7 days you're going back to visit and taking them something. Lender information, a net sheet. I mean, again, there's so many different things that you can do, and you don't have to go out and spend a lot of money on it, because there's stuff that you already have just in your day-to-day business that you could give them. Again, same thing, if they're not home, you can leave it there, but call to follow up, and you're going to send a third thank you note, right? You see a trend here of what we're doing, and we'll go over the thank you notes verbiage as well. All right. So the fourth visit, your fourth item of value. So since you're getting closer to selling your home, I thought this would be of value to you. How did it go this week? Has there been any changes? Is there anything I can help you with? If you ever need anything, please don't hesitate. And so the script, since you're getting closer, right, is very important. It's because it's designed to solicit frustration that they might be having, okay? When it does, you're ready to talk to them about talking about listing their house, right? But you don't want to do that until you actually get that frustration from them. All right, and you're going to send a fourth thank you note, okay? So you're going to follow up with that 7 days later. And maybe it's a moving checklist, right? Maybe since you're getting closer, you give them a moving checklist this time, right? All right, and then Weeks 5 and on are on the phone. And so you're just going to start making phone calls. Same scripts, right? Same questions that you're going to ask, but you're just doing it on the phone. And you don't necessarily need to send a thank you note now. You're just going to keep calling every single week until they either decide to talk to you and, you know, or they sell their house. Okay. All right. So the closing, right? We always want to be looking for, because at any time, you guys, in the visits and the phone calls, they could start raising their hand and saying, hey, you know, number one, why are you doing this? And number two, you know, if my home hasn't sold, they could start saying things. So we want to be looking for the close me signs. So since you're getting closer, right? So why hasn't our home sold? What should we drop our price? And then what should we do? How's the market? What they're really saying is, please close me. And those questions could happen at any point from visit number 1, visit number 4, and any of the phone calls. So here's the follow-up script. It sounds like to me that it may be time for us to get together to discuss what exactly you need in the sale of your home and see if we can create a win-win working relationship. Wouldn't you agree? If we can get you what you need for the sale of your home by forming a working relationship with me, why wouldn't you consider it? If at the end of our conversation you feel like it's going to be a lose by partnering with me, simply say not at this time. Worst case scenario, if you're more informed about the options you have in the sale of your home, besides, what would you say? Why would you say no until you know what you're saying no to? Maybe there's opportunities available you never knew existed. I mean, really, what do you have to lose? And then the next script. So don't be surprised if the for sale by owner asks, why are you doing all of this? What's in it for you? I do this because I believe in win-win relationships. If I give you things of value that help you sell your home, that's definitely a win for you. Wouldn't you agree? Well, if you happen to run across someone who might want to sell their home and doesn't want to go for sale by owner, you may think of me. And if you do, that's a definite win for me. You see, sometimes there's just value in knowing people. You're asking for a referral, basically, without really asking for a referral. All right, so thank you notes. So sample thank you notes. If they sell on their own, there's a sample thank you note. After your initial visit, there's a sample thank you note. And then on page 22, continued the samples for you for visit 2, 3, and 4. So you don't have to think about it, right? Just copy this text or your business card in there and you're good to go. All right. All right, so comprehensive questions. So accountability questions. How long has your home been for sale? Have you received any offers? How many times has your home been shown? What's been the feedback? And then are similar homes selling while your home's been on the market? These are all things that realtors do, right? These aren't things that, unless they're like a really super savvy home seller that's sold lots of properties in their lifetime, they're not thinking about this stuff, right? Because the average person's been in their home 10 to 15 years, sometimes longer. And so they don't know. They're not thinking about these things because this is what realtors do. This is our job to think like this. Exposure related questions. So how are you marketing your home? What's been the response of any realtors shown your home? And here's the thing, if they think that Zillow is going to sell their house for them and Zillow's redirecting any of those inquiries to a Zillow Premier agent, that for sale by owner isn't even getting the leads that are coming off of Zillow. And they probably don't even know that that's happening, right? And so how are they, if they think that marketing their home through Zillow is going to do the trick, then they're sadly mistaken, right? What's been the response and have any realtors shown the home? All right, pricing related questions. So how did you arrive at your price? Did you consider the pricing benchmarks and trends? What were the sold and expireds in the last year? And a lot of us have gotten lazy that we're not even checking the expired inventory when we go on listings, right? And we need to, because again, there's almost 1,900 expired properties right now in MLS, okay? Are you aware of the supply and demand in the neighborhood? And then specific to the months of inventory for homes like yours, did you consider the consequences of pricing your home high before choosing your price? And then do you think this kind of information would be of value? And then opportunity related questions. So what are you going to do after your home sells? Have you prepared the seller disclosure? Are you willing to pay me if I bring you a buyer? So you may want to, when you, on your initial conversation, you may want to ask that question. So I work with home buyers, and if they say no, just write it on your inventory sheet, but that could change, right? As you continue to come around, that could change, and they're willing, they change their mind about that. Okay. I have found in most cases, the first sell by owners I've worked with, in most cases, they are willing to pay 3% commission. Well, I'm not supposed to say commission, apples, so many apples to an agent if they're willing to bring a buyer. So you want to ask that on your initial, and if they say no, don't argue or debate it, right? Just make a note of it, but that could change. Okay. Let's see, and 90% of buyers are represented by an agent, right? They're not going to just go to a for sale by owner. They want to have their own representation. All right, so closing from price related questions, page 24. So you must indicate that you possess value beyond the typical agent. So use this closing directly after asking comprehensive questions on price. So do you think this information would be of value to you and could help you in your attempt to sell your home? Hopefully they say yes. So when would be a good time for me to come out and share this information, and then close for the appointment? Your goal is to get your value proposition in front of people. If a for sale by owner has the opportunity to experience your listing conversation, the chance of creating a win-win working relationship increases dramatically. Remember that you live in a world of abundance, not scarcity. If they say no, then continue asking value or opportunity related questions. So if they're working with them as a buyer, so what are you going to do after you sell your home? Are you staying in the area, or are you leaving town? They're looking for another buyer, so then switch it, or looking in the area to buy. So how are you going about finding your perfect home? Would you like to use a proactive process that guarantees you get the home you want, and more importantly, want the home you get? That process would begin with us sitting down for about an hour so I can uncover exactly what you need in your next home, define your financial comfort zone, and thoroughly discuss the roles and expectations that we would have of one another in a successful working relationship. Does that sound like something that could benefit you? Well, we'd rather sell first and then look. Great. Would you be willing to pay me? Or I don't like saying it that way. So great. Would you be willing to offer a commission, if I brought you a buyer? Okay. All right, so real estate fee. So are you willing to pay me a commission if I bring you a buyer? So regardless of the for sale by owner's answer, write it on your inventory sheet, okay? So don't be discouraged if they say no, that could change, okay? So if you have a buyer whose criteria matches the for sale by owner, who's indicated that they're unwilling to pay, call them and say, I have a buyer. My notes indicate that when we first talked, you were unwilling to pay a commission for selling your home. Has that changed? If the for sale by owner agrees to pay, you could do a one-time showing agreement. That's in our documents in zip forms. And then, that way it's just for that one particular showing, okay? All right, so lastly, again, tracking forms. So your last page in your materials is the tracker. So again, pretty basic. You could put this into a spreadsheet if you wanted to instead of having paper. It's probably what I would do. But again, you're tracking all these things, and the attempt is a door knock or a phone call. And then a face-to-face obviously is the visit. Set is a specific time that you're meeting that person, and then the face-to-face is the actual appointment, and then getting the listing signed. Okay. All right. Any questions or anything? Any questions or feedback, or what are your thoughts? Are you guys all jazzed now and you want to go work for sell by owners and expireds? Fawn's giving me the thumbs up. Jessica, how about you?
Actually, I don't have any questions, but the information that you gave me, it's like very kind of like self-explanatory, and you explained it so well that I'm just like I have more knowledge now, I guess. But yes, no, definitely. Good information to have.
Yeah. So, and again, with the inventory the way that it is, those are two funnels that are definitely opportunities if we work them effectively, that we could increase our inventory, right? So don't be afraid to do it, especially, you know, if you see it for sale by owner, you know, have a plan, right? And then for agents that for Fawn and Megan and Tommy, you guys do also have access to Slam on the Workman stuff. And Fawn, you remember in Slam that there is a for sale by, or not for sale by owner, but expired campaigns in there, and some direct like campaigns of like drip stuff that you can send out. So don't forget to utilize those things that you have as well, that, you know, marry the two together, right? And come up with a super plan. So, all right, well, if that's it, I think tomorrow we've got a Bouge class. Thursday, I'm doing a business planning class. So we're going to do a little coaching and then create time for you guys to, you know, work on your 2021 business plan. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So hopefully you'll join me on Thursday at 9 a.m. And I think that's it for this week, right? All right, very good. Max, you're very welcome. Glad to have you on the class. If I can help with anything, please reach out. So, all right, you guys, with that being said,
Thank you.
you're very welcome. You're very welcome. Hopefully I'll see you guys on Thursday, okay? All
Thank
right.
you. Have a good day.
You're very welcome. Have a great day, guys. Bye.
Bye.